Hey, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 15 Good Minutes. Coach B here. Freddie, how are you, man?
I'm well, and you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Got two things I want to talk about. One's a primary, and then I want to get your thoughts on the other. Um, there was a really good article on ESPN.com by senior sports writer Baxter Holmes, and what he's doing, now that the NBA is about to get underway, is he was going back and taking another look at the whole Bronny situation. Now, he looked at two sides of it, and I'm more interested in one side than the other, but I'm gonna throw both out there and get your opinion in a minute as well. One side he's looking at was Rich Paul's thoughts. And before I even read the thing, I was like, waste of time. What do you think Rich Paul is going to say? Freddie, he basically defended everything that from the beginning, from the way, talking about he's a valid NBA draft pick and all these different things, and you'll see, and blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, to me, wasted ink. Nothing against Rich, but Rich is where he is because of this boy's father. And what do you expect him to say? It's like you and I talked before months ago when what's the dude's name? Palinka? Is he the like the GM? The way that he looked like it was hard for him to keep his face straight when he was explaining the same thing. But what I want to talk about today, now that Baxter's looked at this, is the other side of the coin, where this is the first exhaustive report that I've seen where they're looking at scouts and they're looking at GMs from other organizations, right? And the general tendency, at least that I've read from the article, is that the kid is set up for failure. Good kid, works hard, high IQ, good size, all these different things, but that at the end of the day, should he be taking up a seat on a no fooling NBA bench? The consensus with those folks from the scouts and the GMs was also no. So before I make a pivot and give you some more of my thoughts, has your opinion changed from from draft night when we talked about this before? And if so, how? And you've had a chance to read Baxter's article. What were your thoughts on it?
It has not changed my opinion of Bronny and his development from,
Development is such a strong, strong term.
basically what he did was, he essentially went from high school to the pros, but took a brief vacation at USC. That's, even in the article, Rich Paul said, "Oh, it was 100% Bronny's decision and all that good stuff." Like, yeah, okay, man. But it's nothing against this young man. But I think it just goes to show, and I think it's kind of like while people love LeBron James, I think there are certain people in certain circles in the NBA, they're kind of getting fatigued with LeBron. I think that they're kind of tired of it. That's why you hear these anonymous execs and things like that saying this and saying that. I think that you're kind of fatigued with it, and you're waiting for him to retire, and but you appreciate him while he's here because he is one of the great ones. But as it pertains to Bronny, we all know what it is.
Yeah, and it's interesting. What I liked about some of the great detail that Baxter had in the article, and I'm going to read you this particular quote from one guy, and he's literally saying, "If I was on the Lakers staff, I would do anything not to be the one tasked with developing Bronny because he's not going to make tangible progress that will show up in a good stat line or anything else." This is an Eastern Conference exec. So in other words, what he's saying is, at least for now, Freddie, this is where he is. These guys evaluate this type of talent all day, every day, all year long. And some of the same ones were kind of, of the mindset, is this really going to happen back on draft night? Now that it's happened, we're months in. They've seen Summer League. He keeps hanging out at the facility, and it's not getting any better. And what this particular exec was saying was that if it's my job, okay, Brown, you go work with him, I might lose my job because you thinking because I've worked with guys that have an uptick, if you will, in terms of where they can go, and I've helped get them there. this kid's going to be in the same place 90 days from now, 120 days from now, halfway through the season. Then they're going to look at that assistant coach and basically say, you're really not doing your job. Um, in the article from the parts where Bronny was actually speaking, did you get the sense that he really believes that he is NBA caliber talent?
Truly believe that it's a yes and no.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
it's a yes because I got drafted, but it's a
Yeah,
no
because he did
because
say in the article, I just wanted to hear my name called.
I don't care where,
You're right.
you know,
Right.
you know, so it's a yes because my name was called, but on the flip side, it's a no because your name got called and everybody and your mama knew what, even Golden State said they considered drafting him, but they didn't to respect LeBron's wishes, right? So that just tells you everything you need to know, the power and the influence that LeBron has and stuff like that. So, but if you look at it, and again, back to my earlier point, he went, he's playing at the highest level in the world, right? You went from high school where you were not playing at the highest level and didn't look good.
Right.
Then you take a brief little break at USC, you know, a detour, if you will, to go to and you didn't look great there because, we understand, you had your medical, situation or whatever, played 20 games, didn't light the world on fire. And then get drafted, 55th pick in the second round or whatever.
Yep.
Now
Yep.
you're playing at the highest level. And so the question for me becomes, when you look at the Lakers right now, I think they have about 5 or 6 guards. You have Austin Reeves, you have D'Lo, you have um, Gabe Vincent, and
You got the
they
new
have
kid, Dalton Connect, too, right?
well,
Oh,
he's a
if
three.
he's a guard, is he a three?
He's a three, and then you have Max Christie, who they re-signed, and so then you have Bronny and the rookie that they drafted from last year, Scalafino Hood or whatever his name is. So the only way he's going to see meaningful minutes is somebody has to go or somebody gets hurt, right? Because of the first four, who is he going to play over? Meaningful minutes, that is, right? Because you still have to continue to develop Max Christie. You still got to continue to develop Scalino Hood. I forget how you say his name. And then, it's just one of those things to where he's going to see some time in the G League, as they, indicated. But
Well, let me ask you this. That's a good pivot. So recently on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Magic Johnson said if he were Bronny, he would tell his parents, I need to play in the G League all year long to get experience. You agree with that? Or I mean, with Magic's sentiment that he's here now. So and like you pointed out last time we talked about it, they gave him a contract already, which to me was mind blowing to do so at that point in his quote unquote development. But fine, he's going to be his own millionaire now. Do you agree with Magic that as long as he's here, he should be a G League player for all of the 24-25 season? To your point about who's he going to step over, where's he going to get meaningful minutes? Do you develop him along the way on a team that is trying to be better in the Western Conference? Yeah, there's that too.
go down in the G League, get some game experience until, God forbid there's an injury or, you want to rest guys or whatever the case may be. I think he should be down in the G League for a little bit, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's cats in the G League, Freddie, that are fighting. You know what I mean? Fighting. I mean, I think there's cats in the G League that are already better than him. I think what you hit on though, for me, is and then after reading, Baxter's article, uh, people like you, people like me, and then the pros that do this kind of evaluation every day are all saying the same thing. Super nice guy. We get where you came from. Everybody's bending over backwards for your dad. But here in October, he is not NBA ready. And so for me, I would say G League now. And if he doesn't develop over the course of the year, he needs to look at other options. My opinion. I know that's not going to happen as long as his father is there, and that's what actually leads me to pivot to the second part of the conversation today. Um, just today, also on the wire, our guy from ESPN, Bill Barnwell, wrote. That's the first place I read anyway. That the Jets fired Robert Saleh after the game in London. Um, what are your thoughts on that? You can go any direction you want. Do you think it was warranted? Why do you think it happened? And do you think it's going to make a difference in the way the Jets play football?
That ride home, from London, he'd have to pay for his own flight.
First
I think
class.
I think honestly, it goes back to remember a couple of weeks ago when Aaron Rodgers,
Yep.
he came off the field, he tried to hug him, and Aaron kind of pushed him away. I don't really know what that was about, but my suspicions are um, Robert Saleh, however you say his name. He had a snitch amongst his coaching staff, and
Mm.
the snitch was Nathaniel Hackett.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I guess, because as coaches, head coach, you have, staff meeting with, offense coordinator, defense coach, special team. And he's probably, my suspicion is he was going off on, yo, we got to get this offense together. We look like trash. You're not doing your job. And I saw a report later today, well, earlier, that Nathaniel Hackett's job was in jeopardy because the issue hasn't necessarily been the defense, which is,
Correct.
the issue has been the offense.
I saw the writing on the wall when after they lost a couple weeks ago, and they're doing the post game presser. They asked Coach what was up, and he basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, um, we can't have 17 false starts. He said we had a problem with the cadence. We need to fix that. And his point was we did a game plan all week. Everything goes well, and we're doing 318 hut. That's the cadence. We get in the game. Aaron changes it up, and everybody was jumping. It wasn't one guy, Freddie. Everybody was jumping all game long. Running backs were jumping, wideouts were jumping, linemen were jumping. So when Rogers takes the mic after coach, they say, yo, coach said the problem was the cadence. He basically said, well, that's not the problem. People need to learn, basically how I do things. I knew then that this is going to be a situation very similar to what we just talked about with LeBron in Los Angeles, that what the Jets did to get him there, if he's unhappy, something's going to give. And I had a quote, from Baxter's article. I got a short quote for you here from Barnwell's. In the article, he says, it's clear this offense is built to Rodgers' specifications and preferences, both in terms of style and scheme. The Jets have not made changes to address their weaknesses, likely because those changes would be at odds with what their quarterback believes he does best. So translation is exactly what you said. Because Saleh's a defensive minded guy. It wasn't his responsibility to run the offense, and they were struggling. They weren't doing bad. I mean, at 2-3, but I think is exactly what you said. I think what we saw when they attempted embrace, what we saw the post game presser on that same game, and now they go over to London and lose to Minnesota. I think the OC's job was on the line, but I think Aaron is now building the system around him. And personally, I get it and I don't get it. He's old. I think his best days are behind him. Here's the move I thought they were going to make. I thought they were going to come back and make some type of deal for Devontae. They're going to do something like that because of that
Puts more
history.
pressure. I think it puts more pressure on them now to do so.
It absolutely has to, because the other thing that they asked in this particular article is whether or not Saleh was responsible for the misgivings that they've had so far, and the general consensus was no. So yeah, that's all we got time for today. Just some news with the NBA starting up. More people speaking out about, again, nothing against Bronny's character and the young man, but whether or not he is an NBA level talent. And now today, the Jets pivoting by firing their head coach. So yeah, stick with it. We'll have more to follow on this in the weeks to come. Before we get out, let me see if Freddie got something to say. Freddie, how about it? You got something to say today?
Nothing to say.
Fair enough. I got one thing to say. Go vote. Me and D voted today. You can vote early. Um, go vote. Not telling you who to vote for, your district, whatever. Just go vote. Please exercise your right to vote. Do it early if you can. It's easy. Get in, get out, get it done. All right. We'll probably be saying that a little bit more and more over the next few weeks. Who knows? Until then, we hope you guys have a really great weekend. We look forward to talking to you guys next week.